Greetings, everyone. Hi, Sagittarius. This is Tarot Lumination, and it is your May love and relationship report. This is a broad spectrum reading, as you know if you've been here before. Okay, so we're going to use the specific crucible spread like we've done before. No jumpers, no flyers, no oracles, no reversals, really. I'm going to try. I might throw one oracle in at the end. I think I will. It's a bit of a strange month. I'm going to go over the details, well, not details, just a couple of notes for you. Then I'll get into some specifics for you, Sagittarius. But remember, we're talking about relationship here primarily. Other things affect it, though. So all month, we've got Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto all retrograde. That's heavy duty, okay? May 4th, we have the Taurus new moon in your health sector, work, jobs, and just daily habits, taking care of day-to-day life. Day job, refinement, clarifying, purifying your life, okay? All month long, Mercury is zooming through the signs, Aries through Taurus and on to Gemini, okay? May 15th, Venus moves from Aries to Taurus, okay? And also Mars moves over from Gemini to Cancer, okay? So that could be some relief for you. The full moon is with the Taurus Sun and Scorpio moon on the 18th, and on the 21st, the Sun moves into Gemini. That's where the pressure could build up for you, okay, towards the end of the month. All month, heavy pressure on everybody from the huge Pluto and Saturn retrogrades in Capricorn around 22 degrees Capricorn. Here's what it looks like for you, okay, Sag? This is very stripped down. I'm just pulling out the hot spots, red alerts. Everything else that's good and green, just take it for granted and go for it. But I'm just trying to help you survive and get through the month like everybody else. So regarding the visible planets, Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, like the Sun's over here in the health sector. We talked about that. The challenging spots for you, Sagittarius, are actually on the relationship axis. Jupiter retrograde over here in your own sign. So your natural effervescence and sense of good fortune and optimism might be, let's say, challenged at the moment. And at the same time, it is challenged by Mars for the early part of the month. Like fractious, combative, volatile, aggressive, assertive, perhaps hostile, or even maybe passionate energy coming from a significant other. It does change towards the end of the month, though. It softens up and gets actually more intimate. Now, these are opposing energies. The Gemini energy is directly opposing your energy. That's the 7th house here. So, you know, by the end of the month, you're entering Gemini season, which would typically be your point of maximum opposition. So the pressure might build up. The real pressure that I feel is deep down at the soul level for all of us over here. And for you, Sagittarius, it's at 22 degrees in this 2nd house. Self-worth, value, values, money. How much are you worth to somebody? How do you get your money? How do you carry yourself in the world? What are your beliefs and value systems? What is the substance of your life? And all of this is deeply in question now here. It's like the reality check police are squashing down heavily on here. So that can affect relationships, okay? I'm just giving you a very, very broad spiritual perspective here. All right, let's get into it. I'm just going to go straight to the cards. Now, again, if you're single, you can watch this too. Please allow for the laws of attraction. You're always radiating energy, okay? Cards are well shuffled in advance. I'm just going to go to the last second so that you're a witness. Always radiating energy. So what could you possibly attract back to you? Also watch for your sun, moon, and rising. It can help a lot. Invite your invisible friends. That can help a lot too. Let's see what happens here. Okay, this would be you, Sag. Deep down, this is the other over here, deep down inside of you, deep down inside of the other, and to the core of the relationship itself. This is the crucible spread. The crucible is a structure that endures massive pressures, which is often what happens in human relationships. This is the bowl. Crucible is a bowl type structure. It's a living thing. You guys own this. There is a third entity. There's you, the other, and the relationship itself, and it is a living, breathing thing. What is being fermented here? Surrounded by energy. For you, the weather is the 4 of Cups. I'm feeling, if you're feeling anything like being in the doldrums, any kind of sense of woe is me, like really getting stuck in the past about love, like how everything and anything that could go wrong went wrong, that would be totally understandable given the chart stuff that I just presented to you. Especially as we progress through the month and get towards the end of the month where it actually shifts into Gemini, where you're facing maximum opposition and you're feeling it. Okay. And of course, love is always there. We're always surrounded by love. The question is, are we aware? Energy flows where attention goes, dear Sag. You should know that. You're super smart. The thing is, if you're consumed by everything that didn't work or coulda, would, or shoulda, then it's very difficult to observe this. So I'm suggesting that please be aware. It would be very easy for you to feel down in the dumps about all this stuff. Okay? Let's have a look. What are you radiating here? Okay, the Prince of Pentacles. So at least the intentions are good. So it's like you're progressing with all best efforts, all best meaning, all best purpose, despite the challenges. Because it's very unnatural for you, Sagittarius, to let yourself feel depressed, even if you are depressed, even if conditions are oppressive or could actually trigger depression or senses of loss. It would be very unnatural for you to buckle under to that. But the pressure is there. There's a lot of pressure there, especially with the Jupiter retrograde and the oppositions coming at you in the Gemini sector. So, but look at this. It's a very beautiful energy of like, I'm going forward anyway. I'm doing everything I can as well as I can. I'm planting seeds of love. Pentacles in a love reading are evidence of love, physical evidence of love. In other words, to me, this looks like it's not against all odds, but it's almost against all odds. You're doing everything that you can to continue to fertilize your life, your world, your soul, your love, your relationship, so that you can continue to attract that which is good for you. We allow for the laws of attraction here. What is the other radiating here? Okay, with the Seven of Cups, it might be very hard for them to either be grounded or stay grounded, or even to understand what's going on in the situation with you. I'm not saying this is anything, any kind, it doesn't matter what their sun sign is or who they are. It doesn't matter about the gender or anything. My feeling is that you, Sagittarius, might be dealing with someone who has a fairly loose grip on reality, and in a way that's their problem. And if the relationship itself has dynamics of, what happens in a lot of relationships where we start to notice all the flaws in each other as opposed to the beauty and the love and the gifts. And you come to a realization as everything gets stretched and pulled, especially towards the end of the month, where you realize, my gosh, I'm dealing with someone who is, let's just say, a little bit out of it. They're not quite sure who they are or what they want when it comes to love. There's so many, let's say, unfulfilled wishes or demands or desires or dreams that are, let's say, out of touch with reality. There could also be some issues where you're dealing with someone who's very artistic or very dreamy, or who's being very affected by the deep Piscean energy. Let me go back to that just a second. I never actually marked that in the chart, but okay. Over here is the Pisces energy, and that sits at the very foundations of your life right now, okay? And we've been dealing with these really challenging sort of loose T-squares between the Gemini and the Sagittarius and the Pisces stuff here. And I don't want to actually, well, I might as well just put it in here just loosely, which makes it very difficult for the foundations of your life. And a lot of aspects and components of love and relationship happen behind closed doors, especially like the home or the setting or the place where you live or they live or where you both live together or how you live. And it's very beautiful energy to have here. This very, like Neptune in its highest vibration is beautiful, and that could be represented here. However, it's under extreme duress because of this T-square. And so there might be a lot of, let's say, illusions or misunderstandings or let's confusion about like what is the foundation of our love? What is the foundation of our relationship? What are we actually doing here? And you might be witnessing that right in front of you, Sagittarius, with someone who, like, they might have all the best of intentions about love, but how they actually manifest this and materialize it is a whole other thing. Like, you know, it's wonderful to wish for a beautiful home, to wish for a beautiful love and things, but it's a very different thing to do something about it. This is a very powerful card of dreaming things into possibility. So, like the way artists manifest energy, and maybe that's working for you in the context of the home. But otherwise, my feeling is that for you, Sagittarius, this would be really quite hard energy to handle, not knowing what to do with it. And it's almost like as soon as you get close with all your best of intentions, you kind of touch into a dreamland where you're wondering, like, what the hell is actually going on with them? What like, please, could you be a little bit more precise about what you feel about love and life and relationship with us, in particularly me right now? Well, I was going to tell you about it, but what? Well, I'm not really sure. I had this like idea, like maybe we could like repaint the living room, or maybe we should move to another town, or have you ever tell me about your past love lives? I think that might be affecting how my love life is working with you now. And you're like, please. Let's get some reality here, please. And over here, deep down inside of you. So with the Hierophant over here, my feeling is that you would really, truly wish to deep down create structure, order, and a sense of doing things properly, maybe in the old-fashioned way, to like lock it down, create a formalized relationship type dynamic, or bring a greater degree of structure and order and formality to the relationship in terms of like a reality check, which might be very hard to do when you're dealing with this kind of energy over here. Like, for example, if they love to get stoned or drunk or smoke or drink, or they take huge amounts of energy drinks and mix it up with medications and whatever, and they're off on cuckoo land half the time, it can be very hard to, let's say, formalize the relationship with a loved one into something that has a more tangible structure. What about deep inside of the other? Okay, the Six of Cups. To me, with all these cups over here, Sagittarius, it's almost like you might as well just give up and go, you know what? I have a feeling I'm dealing with some kind of soulmate dynamic to my relationship right now, where it's not actually about the nuts and bolts and realities of the relationship, or love and life and relationship for me. Remember, this is not a couples reading. It's all about you, Sagittarius, and we're trying to allow for the other character in the story. So with the Six of Cups here, all these cups in the whole reading, but on their side in particular, my feeling is that there's no harm intended, Sagittarius. They're just being who they are, and you're discovering deeper and deeper and deeper as you go into the crucible of relationship, as the pressure mounts, and you start to actually see what's really happening, like the serious reality checks of what's happening, which is what happens in relationships as we intimate and separate. By the way, let me bring out my little demonstration pieces here. Thank you very much. See, we have this. We're always in a state of intimacy and separation. Intimacy, in and out, like, what are you doing? Well, I don't know. What are you doing? And a lot of stuff happens on autopilot through the psyche, through the ether, and a lot of it happens in day-to-day stuff. And we operate between different levels, like 1 minute or like maybe months or years on end. It's all about like making money, making sure the bills are paid, getting organized, doing everything with the community, the house, the car, the mortgage, our college degrees, our projections for the future, how to build our love nest. And then the next minute, it's just like, hey, honey, what were you dreaming about last night? You were screaming. I mean, we're two totally different types of energy. So my feeling here is that in the swirliness, okay, All this swirliness over here, the dreaminess would be relating to this part of your life, your world, the foundations of your life and your world, where you, Sagittarius, would be wondering, what the bleep is going on at the foundations of our life and love and world and relationship? And deep down, you're relating with someone who's coming at it very much from the soulmate perspective, while looks like you're coming at it much more from the let's taking care of business perspective. And it's like there's a bit of a jarring going on here. But I think it's an inevitability too, because as the month moves through, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, and the pressure increases, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock here, especially towards the end, like the 22nd onwards, when the sun moves into Gemini as well, then you'll hopefully will get more clarity about what is not working for you. Okay, I'm not saying for you guys, I'm just saying what's working for you. Okay, Sagittarius. At the core, we have Two of Swords. So my feeling is that the relationship itself is what you're going to have to lean on. In other words, there's no point in trying to relate from here, from here to here, because it would be like trying to catch a butterfly, or trying to talk to fog, or trying to like talk to an artist when they're in the middle of making a painting, and it would be like, oh, man, what the heck is going on? And so it's almost like there's no point. There's no point. They're just being themselves. They're operating from a very loving perspective, but it puts you in a position like, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to handle this when they're all over the place like this, coming from heart, best of intentions? And so what you do is you lean on the relationship itself. You start thinking, okay, what is the relationship telling me? What are the dynamics of the relationship telling me? Is there an actual threat here? No. Or if there is, what is it? Is there actually anything that is really unacceptable here? No. If so, well, what is it? And so instead, with the Two of Swords, it's basically letting the relationship do the talking. Allow for the relationship to like send out its own signals, and then you can listen to it and to it from the relationship. In other words, acknowledge that the relationship does have its own identity, its own structure, its own, let's say, vibration, its own vibrational frequency. And because it's not a tangible structure, it's something that people notice. In other words, like, let's say you guys are hooked up and you've got a house or apartment, or you're considering moving in together, or you've just fallen in love, or you're considering falling in love, or you've been together 20 years or whatever. Everyone would know you as you and them as them. And then there's this thing called the relationship. And then people say, oh, well, they've got an interesting relationship, or it's a very solid relationship, but it's built on very nebulous foundations. And so people sense it. It's a living, breathing thing. And my feeling is that allow for the relationship to tell you what you need to know about what's going on, and don't look out for it in the other party. Let the it's time to be very intuitive, tune into the hidden messages, the signals. In other words, observe the relationship as though it was a living thing and it had life and history of its own. Then what is it telling you? Is there, do we need to make some tough decisions about, should I do this? And if I do that, does it mean I'm going to lose this? Or should I do this, the other party? And if so, does it mean I'm going to lose this? And let the relationship talk. In other words, if the relationship has a history of having basically good love in it, just put that as a check mark. Okay, we got love. Okay, we've got good intentions. You've got good intentions. There's no harm here. Okay, check that box, check that box. So what's actually going on? Okay, and then it might go all the way back to you, and you realize, I am learning about myself in the reflection from a significant other. In other words, they're just being themselves, Sagittarius. So what's happening with you? Are you loading up the relationship with all sorts of expectations about how it should be? Are you concerned that it's like, wait a minute, it's not ordered and structured, and we're not doing it by the book the way that I would love it to do according to the book of Sagittarius. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Instead, it has its own thing. There might be a lot of like psychic awareness between you guys, clairsentience, clairaudience, clairsmelliance, clairvoyance that exists. And so basically allow that to flow and be grateful for that you have that at all. A lot of people just get stuck in the three-dimensional aspects of relationship, and they don't know what to do. And they just end up living like puppets or playing roles as opposed to being themselves. This is very much about you being you, them being them, and then how do you deal with that? What's fermenting here? Okay, the Eight of Cups. So my feeling is that the relationship itself is giving very, very strong signals that there is potentially all sorts of woe is me that is being exposed in the context of relationship. And that wouldn't surprise me at all, because we're entering the time of maximum opposition for you, Sag, by the end of the month. And typically, the periods leading up to that, that might feel very uncomfortable. So when I see the Eight of Cups here, in what is being fermented or fomented here, and coming into the month with this Four of Cups energy here, a little bit of woe is me, then I think there's a really powerful messages that need to be understood. And then you realize, you accept that there is so much love, there is love here, and it's coming from the soulmate levels from both of you, and it's being reflected, that truth is being reflected back to you, Sagittarius, from the significant other. So that's not the problem. The problem is that, what do I do now? What am I supposed to do now in the context of this relationship? Because it looks to me like there are a lot of unknowns. And again, that wouldn't surprise me, because we're dealing with it over here, okay? There's a lot of instability here, volatility, a lot of question marks happening on the relationship axis. And it's, I'm going to use the word undermined, but I don't mean it in a bad way. It's on very, very gentle, very, very fragile, nebulous foundations here. And so you might be deeply questioning your own self-worth to yourself. And what are you worth to another? What is the other worth to you? What is this relationship really about? What are the real values? What's really, really going on in my life, in me, as reflected back to me through love and relationship? Okay, because this is the real monster pressure point for everybody. Capricorn, 22 degrees, okay? And that's affecting you in the second house of money, stuff, values, self-worth. What are you worth to them? I mean, I don't think you have any doubt about your own wonders, your own value. It's just that you might be seeing reflections coming back to you that could trigger doubt. Doubt is not comfortable for you. Lack of optimism is not comfortable for you. And yet I think the relationship is sending a really strong message that there's a maturation going on here. There's deep pressure about recalibrating your value, your values, your sense of self-worth for you. This is personal. You're learning this in the context of love and relationship. So be grateful to the significant other. I don't believe there's any harm intended here. I think this is very deep, personal, private, let's say internal message that's coming along here for you, Sagittarius, and you have to live through it, okay? Like if it gets really, really uncomfortable, you can't lash out and blame the other. If they're struggling in their own ambiguity, please understand they could lash out against you and blame it all on you. But I don't think that will affect you. I think that they're quite immune. I think they have the strength to handle it. I want to put a card here, okay? I'm really tempted to do this. I've never done this before, but I think I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to pull an oracle, okay? I'm just going to do it. Stay there. I'm not going to read everything from the book. I'm just going to pull the oracle, and you can reinterpret however you want. But I think it might add a bit of a qualifier and a bit of color to the situation that might be appreciated. Let's have a look. I'm going to use the Oracle, Romance Angels. And she has a lot of decks, but this is really the only one I use. It's very, some people think it's really cheesy. I think it's actually beautiful, and it has withstood the test of time. There's so many decks out there. I don't know if you're aware, Sag, how many decks are out there. Oracles, tarot, all of it. It's mind-boggling. And we've only scratched the surface here at Tarot Lumination. I'm going to pull one card. I'm going to read it for you, and then I'll hold it up, and you can sit with that. But I think the message here is what I just told you. I don't want to add anything more or mess it up. Hold on. I want to just leave the other card under here. So as a reference, okay? So you have that. So you can go back if you need to. I'm going to cut this up, okay? And the card we're pulling for you is express your love, okay? This is very well meaning over here, and I'm sure you have the best of intentions over here about how things ought to be and where they should be. But with Jupiter retrograde and Mars in Gemini, and then the Sun in Gemini opposing you, you might feel thwarted. You might feel all of this, and the pressures and the stresses that come from it. It's hard enough to have a relationship as it is without the Jupiter retrograde and the oppositions from Gemini. So you might be feeling deep down like what's not working. So, and that it's like your natural effervescence might be getting, let's say, sabotaged or muted or just like almost like crushed under. Your sense of self-worth might be really diminished now, making it harder and harder. You know, people often, they don't want to be seen as weak or poor. But my feeling is express anyway. It says here, go ahead and make the romantic gesture. Okay, that's pretty bold. In other words, that could probably go absolutely contrary to what we were talking about here, because you might be feeling very, very shy about doing that at all. And I think the message here is that perhaps it's okay to step out of that. Allow for them to be in this very dreamy, well-intended state. Allow for this huge amount of cups here to be real. Look at it from the Sagittarian optimistic side, and look at it as an opportunity for you to grow, Sagittarius, and reclaim some of your sense-worth and value in love and relationship. And take the risk. Take the big, huge, bold risk. This could be just even the slightest gesture, a bit of body language, a gentle hand on the shoulder, holding hands, just a few kind words, just the tiniest little things can work miracles in love and relationship, okay? There you go, Sagittarius. All the best. I hope you get something out of this. Bye-bye. We'll catch up again soon. Take care.